Hello, hello, hello. It's Carib Carter Clues, and we are again with Mike Cobb on the Offshore Investment Report. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 key words. Let me get the right number of fingers up that only Mike Cobb can educate us on. Okay, the 5 key words and the key questions. So, Mike, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Carter. It's always fun to be here with you, and we're looking forward to these five words, and we're going to talk about them. So, yeah,
The 5-word questions. See, I've got my Carib Carter hat on, my offshore club hat. That way I can, while I'm talking to you, I can also advertise my own show every Monday at noon at offshore.club, Coffee with Carib Carter.
right. So my 5 words is: Are you drinking coffee now? And the answer would be yes. There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There you go. So my five-word question, the 5 key words. You are look, it may be number 1, certainly in the top 3 offshore investors throughout Central and South America. By my count, and correct me if I'm wrong, I wrote them down. I think you have residential resort communities, either have them built or preparing to build them in 5 countries: Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, El Zante that
Panama.
we talked about, and Panama.
So that's 6.
I got it. 6. There are 6.
Yep.
There are 6. So when we have look, there is, for offshore club members, okay, it's a real treat to talk to someone who has accomplished what you've done and is willing to sit down and talk to the rest of us about it. So I want to ask you the question that people would like me to ask you, because I get their emails and their text messages. The 5-word question: what do you look for when you make these investments in these 6 countries and build the number 1 Caribbean residential resort community, Grand Pacifica, in Nicaragua, gorgeous Grand Bayman in Belize, El Zante in El Salvador you're building. By the way, we had an incredible interview with the guy you turned us on to, Roman Martinez.
Yep.
When you see that interview, you're going to be blown away. Monday, folks. Monday.
But he was excited. Let me tell you, he sent me a note right after. He's like, "Oh, that was great." So yeah, he was.
Is, as a matter of fact, I'm sending out a letter to the entire membership of Offshore Club today with that interview in there. It was that good. It was just incredible.
Well, so I'm headed to El Salvador next week. So so I'll be down there. I'll see him, and lots of great stuff happening in Salvador. Hey, I'm going to answer your question kind of glib, but it's serious. And the answer is good title. You know what? Good title. That's not the answer anyone would ever think of, right? No. Great weather, beautiful scenery. I don't know, cost of living. I mean, there's a lot of answers to that question, right? You know what I look for, Carter, before I do anything? Perfect title. Not good title. Perfect title. Because if I don't have perfect title when I buy it, I can't pass perfect title on to folks who want to own it, after we develop it, right? So for me, fundamentally, nothing happens. In fact, the first thing when I look at a piece of property, or somebody tells me they have a piece of property, like Mike Peterson down in El Salvador, right? The godfather of Bitcoin. He approached me at the Bitcoin conference last summer in June in Miami. And he said, "Hey, I've got this piece of property." I didn't know who he was, whatever. He wanted to help me develop it. I said, "No problem." I said, "Do me a favor, when you get home, on Monday or Tuesday next week, send me a copy of your title." That's the first thing I asked for. Send me a map, maybe a Google map or something like that. Send me a couple pictures of it. I said, but the first thing I asked for is a copy of their title, right? And then, then I'll start to look at it while we have lawyers start to look at the title. But yeah, man, if you don't have title, you don't have anything. So that's fundamental.
I never would have expected that answer, but it makes perfect sense, because you and I have said before on this show, folks, you got to be a little, I tell people, any money you have to invest in Central or South America. Don't put it in the stock market here. It may be booming now, but sooner or later, what goes up must come down, especially when it's being propped up by fiat money. In this country, housing already last month took a major hit. So you want a good investment, go offshore. But you and I have already talked about the fact that when you go to a country like, let's say, I know, you have a new community in Honduras.
Yeah.
I have 2 homes there. The problem is you buy a piece of property, and if you don't do what you said, the title you may buy from Juan, not knowing that Jose and Juanita and Joselita and Raul and Rachel also have a piece of that, and you had no idea. You had no idea. Yeah.
Exactly. And or there are things called rights of possession, which really isn't title. A lot of times they call it ROP title, rights of possession title, but it's not. Our rights of possession is not title, it's rights of possession, right? So they throw these words around to confuse us, right? Or it's indigenous land, or in Mexico, ejido land. So or cooperativa. In Nicaragua, a lot of the lands were reassigned to people, during the Sandinista period in the late 70s and early 80s.
Right.
So again, you've got all these different kind of title issues that are out there, and probably all of those things combined represent 20 to 25% of the title, right? So 70, 80% of the title is really perfect, good title, right? The problem is a lot of people go down there and they don't know what they're doing, and they buy ROP, or like you said, they buy a piece of property and they think it's being sold by person X, but there's actually X plus 6 more people on the title, right? And so, there's just lots of things that go on. But if you do it right, if you just simply take your time and hire a lawyer to look and make sure there really is title, or work with the developer and then hire a lawyer and check out the developer's title. You don't have to trust me. Hire a lawyer to check me out, check out the title, right? You should definitely do that as part of your due diligence work. And in fact, Carter, just a little plug for our book right here. This is the Consumer Resource Guide, right?
Excellent.
We've got 15 questions that people should ask when they buy property overseas. And there's 2 or 3 of them that deal with title. There's a couple articles in there that go more depth into like the rights of possession and HEDO and stuff like that. So it's a great resource for people who are, looking for property overseas.
And how do they get it? How do they get it?
Just send an email, info@ecidevelopment.com, and we'll send you a download, the PDF download. And
free, absolutely free, right?
Absolutely free. Absolutely. Fantastic. Because look, the educated consumer is the best consumer. I never mind competing with product that's, similar or comparable to mine. But if somebody's selling bogus title property, right? I mean, they could sell it for 20% less, 50% less. It doesn't matter, because they're never going to sell it anyway. So they're just collecting money from somebody, right? So, I like consumers who really kind of make sure everything is apples to apples, and then I'll stand in that game, and some people will choose our product, some people will choose somebody else's, but at least I know they're getting a quality product, which, that's what I want somebody to own when they come to this part of the world. I want them to own a beautiful home or condominium and be really, really happy with it. So,
look, that's vital. It's info at
ecidevelopment.com.
There you go, folks. Right
there. There you go.
Right there. Right to there.
That's pretty good, Carter.
And what's the name of the book again? Free?
Oh, the Consumer Resource Guide, right? I modeled it on the old Ralph Nader, Consumer Resource Guide.
Good.
So
perfect. Perfect. Look, folks, you got to, I'm so glad you said that. I would have never occurred to me, because obviously I am not the offshore oracle. You are. But so it never would occur to me, but title's vital. Look, it's a good rhyme, folks. Makes it easy for you to remember. Title is vital. And look, let me just give you an example.
You can't even help yourself, Carter.
I can't help myself. I'm just so damn glib. But folks, look, my wife, who is the most honest person in the world, I want to make that clear. There we go. Title is vital. The most honest person in the world. My wife has 12 brothers and sisters. So if she, let's say, decided to sell you a piece of land, which she would not do, but it's 12 brothers and sisters. All right. That's not unusual. And so you cannot be too careful. And so that guide is important. Also, if you you know, you said something that I got to reiterate here. Even when you buy in a development, check out, you say you can check the title to make sure that the developer really,
Absolutely. I mean, because
good, good.
in civil law, every title is carved out of a mother title. So in a sales document, permissive event or the actual well, in the actual title itself. But anyway, in the permissive or in the title documents, you'll see that this particular set of property, this defined by these survey markers or what directionalities, whatever, was taken from a mother title. Well, you can check out the little piece, you can check
Good,
out the mother title.
good,
And
good.
I think, you know, smart consumers do that. I mean, you know, you're going to
Yeah,
spend, you know, 50, 75, 150, 175, 375, whatever you're going to spend, right? I mean, you know, spend $1,000 on a lawyer and just double check it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and folks, please understand, we are not casting any aspersions on the
No.
wonderful people who live south of the border. I mean, they are, look, I lived in Honduras for a year and a half. Mike, you lived in Nicaragua 14 years, right?
Yep.
These
Correct.
people are salt of the earth. You know, I'm reminded of the story of the two guys who died, two old guys who died. One was black, one was white. And they happened to die. Old friends went to heaven on the same day, went up to the pearly gates, and they had argued all their lives because the black guy said, "I think God's black," and the white guy said, "No, I'm pretty sure he's white." So they get to the pearly gates, Mike, and St. Peter's there. He says, "Welcome, good to see you all. You've been good folks." Well, and Earl, the white guy, says, "You know, before we go in, Peter, I got a question to ask you. Sam here has always said that God is black, and I think he's white. Now, just out of curiosity, which is it?" Peter said, "Well, he's walking by right now." He said, "God, can you come over and talk to these guys?" And God walked over and said, "Buenos dias, amigos." so, so that's how highly we think of the folks down there. So we're not casting any aspersions whatsoever. But if you go to somewhere like Grand Pacifica, then you know. Then you know. I mean, that the most gorgeous development
Well,
in the Caribbean. You know, these titles. Now, let me ask you a question.
but
Go ahead. Go
well,
ahead.
no, you know, like I gave what I would call the fundamental answer. But you
Yeah.
know, what do I look for? You know, the second thing I look for, by the way, because you just mentioned it, I look for something that's breathtaking and stunning and beautiful,
Yeah.
right? That's ultimately, you know, at the end of the day, that's what helps people get excited about owning a piece of property or owning a home or a condominium, right? Is something that's breathtaking. And you brought up
Yeah.
God a second ago, because a lot of times
Yeah.
people ask me, well, Mike, this is beautiful, well done. And I'm like, you understand that God did 99% of the work here, right? I say that. I say, I just put in some roads and built some homes, right? But God did 99% of this. So, you know, so after title, I look for that stunning, take your breath away, beautiful, right? And then, you know, work with what's there, right? You have to look at the land. You have to go to the land and be a part of the land. And that's a big part of
Yeah.
what I do is to go feel it, spend time on it, understand what will really complement what is already there, instead of trying to move mountains of dirt and stuff like that. No. Let's go see what actually works on the land, as sculpted by, you know, by God. Like,
Yeah.
what's there? How can we, you know, put something on it that really just blends in and becomes part of what's already there. So first it's title, fundamental. Nothing happens without that.
Good.
Then we move to the stunning, beautiful stuff that makes it just a tremendous place that you'd want to spend time, right?
Yeah. And folks, go to it. The only way you're going to really be able to understand what Mike just said, because it is absolutely true, the beauty of it, go to grandpacifica.com.
Yep.
Grand Pacifica, there we go, grandpacifica.com, and see for yourself. And you'll see what we're talking about. Because when you look at the pictures throughout that website, for instance, the golf course, you have done it in a way that it almost looks like God put it there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's
Just follows the terrain. It plays down to the ocean. It plays along the ocean. I
yeah,
mean, it is a spectacular course that just takes advantage of the natural beauty that's already there. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so folks, check that out. And we've talked before, and I want to make clear again, because I've said it, I'm not here to sell folks, but I am here to tell them when something is a tremendous opportunity. The old saying, your best friends won't tell you. Well, I'm your best friend, folks, and I'm telling you, you got to check out Grand Pacifica. And the homes there go from what, 150,000 up to a million? So
Little under 150. I think some of the homes start about 125, right? And then they go up to $1 million or more. Yeah.
It's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you look first the title, and then the beauty. How about stuff like the safety of the country, the security? Because we always get questions about that. The U.S. State Department has scared the hell out of everybody about everywhere where they can't keep their thumb on you. And boy, I'll tell you, we talked earlier about the interview with Roman on Coffee with Carter. He does a great job of helping people understand this is a nice country and it's safe. So how much of that goes into your evaluation?
Well, actually very little, because I would not work in a country that wasn't safe. I moved to Nicaragua with my wife and 2-year-old daughter. Had another little daughter that came along, and we lived there for 14 years, as you said before. And like, I wouldn't travel somewhere dangerous, and I certainly wouldn't take my wife and daughter, 2-year-old daughter, someplace dangerous either, right? Yeah. The fact of the matter is, crime is local. If you look at any area, U.S., anywhere in the world, right? And you just see, if you like, for example, I mean, just pick Chicago, right? I mean, Chicago is dangerous. Well, you know what? There's probably 6 or 8 zip codes where it's really, really dangerous, and the rest of the town, is not so much. And if you took out a few zip codes, the crime rate in Chicago would be negligible, right? And so that's kind of like that's just kind of normal, where crime is local. And so, right, I don't even really think about it, because I would never work in a country where there was a crime issue to begin with. So like it's not an issue, right?
Yeah, and your statement is good. Crime is local. I lived a couple of years back. I lived right outside of La Ceiba, and I would go out at 10, 11 at night and walk the street in La Ceiba. Folks, it's a city in Honduras. Okay, I think what that 200,000 people. I think, and you recently built a community not far from La Ceiba,
right?
Which folks you ought to look into. What's the name of it?
The Reef. Yeah, the Reef.
The Reef. Okay. Yep. I walked down the street 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I'd walk out to grab a hamburger or something, and there'd be groups of guys standing on the corner. Honest to God, Mike, I never had a fleeting thought of danger. I just didn't. Right. The most they would say is Zola,
exactly.
Or Buenos Noche. That's it.
So enjoying the cool evening temps, right? I mean, people do come out at night. Well, and that's the other thing, right? Unlike many places where, people, if you come out at night and it's trouble, most people in Latin America can come out at night because it's cooler. I mean, you're in the tropic, right? So you come out in the evening, you enjoy the cool weather, you visit with your neighbors, and boys and girls, young men and women, right? This is when they court, because, many of them live at home until they're, in their 20s, even 30s, even whatever, right? So this is a time they come and they hang out and they, go to the park or go get an ice cream or go get a burger and, and really, court one another. So yeah, it's a very different experience, different from what we might imagine. But when you're there and you're in it, it feels okay, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. Yeah. So the answer to the question, what do you look for? Number 1 is title.
Yep.
2 is the beauty, the natural beauty, let's say. Okay. Yep. Which then you folks, this is very important. Mike doesn't go in. We said this a couple shows ago. We said Mike doesn't cut down the trees and then name streets after him. Okay. You work around the terrain, which is fantastic. And Grand Pacifica, folks, is a perfect example of it. Safety and security is not a major, because you wouldn't choose to build there anyway in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you look for? Anything else? Like food? No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, all the countries have, their own unique flavors, and it's fun to, try them all out. I guess that's the thing, right? But, I mean, convenience, right? I mean, look, it's some of it we have to deliver. Some of it's there, some of it to deliver, but fast internet, right? Everybody wants fast internet. Yeah. But I mean, if it's not there, we put it in. If it is there, we tie into it, right? So, I mean,
Right.
there are things like that that are important too. Grocery stores, gas stations, banks. I mean, all those kinds of things that people need to
Right.
have a
Okay.
life. So we look at that and the proximity and stuff like that. But I would just say fundamentally, it's title, foundational, not even fundamental, foundational
Yeah.
title, and then second of all, just sort of the beauty. The natural beauty of the place. I mean, those two things are probably what we look for the most, and then build around that, right? Build from that, build around that, and create beautiful, wonderful, places for, as we like to say, we build, residences for, for adventurous souls, and deliver, inspired lifestyles. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is about a lifestyle, right? And it's
All
the
about
adventurous
lifestyle.
souls, yeah, the adventurous souls are looking for something, a little different. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you are an adventurous soul. You've tapped into the Offshore Club, and
Yep.
you're here
Yep.
watching, Carter do his thing. And so, if you're looking for an inspired lifestyle, that's really what we deliver. And it's all of those things and much, much more that come together to make that happen. But the best thing you can do is get on an airplane and come visit for, a week or two or a month or two or however long you want. And, we recommend people rent before they buy. Come down and try it on for size. Rent a home in one of our communities for 3 months. Get to know the neighbors.
Nice.
Chances
Nice.
are, look, and the old puppy dog clothes, right? You send somebody home with the puppy dog on Friday and tell them, no, listen, if you don't want it, you can bring it back on Monday. Nobody brings the puppy dog back, right?
Nobody's that cruel.
Nobody, right? And so what we recommend is people rent a home in one of our communities for 90 days. Because you know what? You're going to get down there. You're going to meet other adventurous souls. You're going to have this incredible lifestyle. The cost of living's a lot less. And at the end of 90 days, you're going to say to yourself, you know what? I think I want to own a home here. And if you want to own a home, we'd love to have you become one of our neighbors. So we do a lot of the, what I would call just the trial thing, right? Come down and rent a home for a month or 2 or 3 and see if it's right for you. Yeah.
It's fantastic. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, you have thoroughly answered the 5-word question, and I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Yeah. And folks, remember, when you go to these Mike Cobb communities, the amenities are there.
Yes.
I'm a city guy. I was raised in Baltimore City back when it was a great city. I like the amenities, right? And that's one of the beauties of a Mike Cobb community, which is fantastic. Yeah. All right, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
Carter.
It
Good
was
to
great.
see you, man.
Good seeing you again. Thank you for joining us. Okay. And folks, thank you for joining us on Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. Now you know what to look for. And the truth of the matter is, you know where to look. All right. Check it out. And thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Let's do this thing.